Oh, can you hear me okay, Tracy? Yeah, you can hear me. Okay, so
Carrie, the other she is.
there she is. All right. Well, thank you for being here. We're always glad to have these meetings. We try our best to keep you updated, to share things with you that are going on, to encourage us to do a better job of teaching and helping our students to be successful. So thank you again for joining us on our 444 meeting. Today, do we have Corey Ellis? Is he on the call? Some of you are dialed in by the phone. Corey, are you there?
Corey is a she.
Corey, are you there? I don't think I didn't see her. So Corey Ellis is a brand new instructor. Is she teaching for you, Sherry?
Yes, she is.
Want to introduce her? Tell us a little bit about her.
I would love it. Corey is an HR director at a large company in Dallas, Texas. She is amazing. She's teaching the career strategies class, and she has really adapted well to our students. She's already doing a fantastic job.
Good. Well, thank you for that. As long as we're going on, let's have you go ahead with the Carson, I didn't see Carson. There he is. Carson, are you ready? Sherry, go ahead and announce the AR award winner.
Okay, this is always a hard decision because we have, you guys go on mute if you're not
Somebody's being close to mute.
I think it's Lisa. Okay,
Sure.
good. Okay, all solved. It's always a hard decision because we have great instructors here. This month we have picked someone who has done a fantastic job with students, has had individual Zoom meetings with students almost weekly. Gosh, I think he does do it every week. Has done a great job of working with our students and has really changed a class that used to have a high failure rate to a much better class. Students are doing much better because they feel comfortable talking to him. So, and great retention. So with that said, Joe Chianakis, did I say your name right?
Oh gosh, yes, hello.
And again, he's only been here for about 7 months, but he's done such a fantastic job. We just had to honor him early.
And that's always
well,
good.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys
Joe?
can hear me or not, but hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
It's my first time trying to be on a meeting while driving, so sorry about that, but so I'm trying to find the right button on my phone. But thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
You have certainly earned it.
Well, you know, the thing
Thank
that
you.
everyone said is Joe is quick to respond, quick to give good feedback, and we so much appreciate what you do for us, Joe. Thank you for making good things happen, and you deserve it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well,
Hey, Larry, Corey
yeah.
Ellis is on now if you want to say hi to her.
Hello.
Corey, you're on here. There you are.
I made it.
But Joe, thank you again. We're really proud of you and grateful to you for taking good care of students. Corey, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about where you live, what you do for a living.
Okay,
fact,
sure.
please.
I live in a suburb of Dallas, Texas, called Frisco. I have got 3 kids, and I work as a HR director at a nonprofit organization here. I've been there for about 3.5 years. I have a master's degree in HR, and this is my first time teaching. I've done a lot of trainings for, employees and things like that, but I've never taught an actual class, so it's been really fun. I teach the career strategies class online, and just about to finish up my first one and start another one.
Love it. You know, we need professionals like you teaching career services. It's really important. In fact, we're putting more emphasis on career strategies and career services at the college, and Now we offer career strategies right in the middle of a student's program, and that's so we get them introduced and doing what they need to do so that they can get the job. Because
Right.
after all, student success is get the job. So thank you for being a new faculty member, and we're glad to have you.
Thanks.
With that, we have our accreditation visit coming up in November, and we're all busy preparing for the visit. And there are things that the accreditors are going to look at. Some of the things they're going to look at is your faculty files and your, are your CVs current? Do we have your transcripts and all that? A big area is that of professional development. And so, Sarah, let's talk a little bit about professional development in field versus in service and what that means and what we're looking for. Would you
Sure.
go ahead, Sarah?
So I'd sent out an email previously just letting y'all know that we do have that visit coming up. So to make sure that we do have your current, certifications and such on file. And if you are able to complete your in-field development before the visit, then that's even better, because then we can already show that you've got at least your 2 completed for the year. Since we are nearing the end of the year, this is a good time to remind you, if you haven't already done 2 for the year, we do need to get your second one from you before the end of the year. If you want to keep teaching for us in January, we need to have that by the end of the year. And then just as a reminder of the difference between the 2. So in-field development is something that you're doing to further your knowledge of your subject area. So something related to the subjects that you're teaching. And that can be really varied in what you do. It can have a broad application depending on what you teach, but that's what in-field is for. In-service development is what you're doing to further your knowledge of teaching, being a teacher, teaching online, and that is what we offer each month or each term in our 444 meeting. A lot of you have been still asking about Max Knowledge. Max Knowledge is what Vista College used to offer and require a couple courses a year to be completed. But when you did those, it replaced the in-service portion of the 444. So now that we don't have Max Knowledge anymore, we're just doing a in-service portion on every faculty meeting. So you're covered. You don't need to worry about not having Max Knowledge anymore. Vista College is not going back to using that, so that's totally gone as far as we know right now. So I believe there's probably a way to have a membership or subscription if you wanted to do it and pay for it yourself, but just wanted to make sure I cleared that up. Does anybody have any questions on either the in-service or in-field? Well, wow, I did a great job. Okay. Oh, yes.
I have a question. So I was in the process of getting the 2-year or the teaching certification without Max Knowledge or me paying for it myself. It's still there in limbo. So I still get the emails, hey, Mark, come back. You got, these courses to complete. Are there any other options for us to obtain such certifications that are in the works, or something that works the same? Is there any information about those of us who were engaged or trying to be engaged in getting that certification? What do we do now?
I'm going to let Larry answer that, only because I am not fully knowledgeable of the courses and things that were offered within Max Knowledge, but you did remind me of something else I wanted to share, and then I'll have Larry answer. ACCSC does offer a lot of professional development courses for instructors. I think we've sent some of that information out to you before, but I will forward it again. And they do have a lot of free classes that you can take part in, and it may qualify as in service or in field depending on the topic. But Larry, can you speak to the certification part?
Yeah, for sure. Mark, send me what you've completed versus what you've got left, and let me look at that and see what I can do. At this point, the corporation is not going to offer Max Knowledge. That said, maybe there's something I can do. I don't know. I used to teach for Max Knowledge, and maybe I don't know. Let me see what I can do. Just send me an email, okay? I wanted to comment on in-field this development, you know, if you're giving a presentation to a group of professionals in your field, giving a presentation counts as professional development. Just if you write an article for a magazine or whatever, that will count for professional development in your field as well. So, you know, there's lots. It's pretty free. If you're not sure if it'll qualify or whatever, just email Tanya, Sarah, and me, and we'll try to make it work if we can. We'll at least guide you. So the whole idea, since we're a career school, is to make sure that you're current in your field, as in the profession that you're in, as well as the in-service portion is teaching tips to help students to learn what they need to learn. So we hope that's clear for you. I would say that if we contact you on any of this needing a professional development or whatever, you know, we're going to be going through the faculty files, and we'll make sure that they're ready for review, for the accreditation review. So should we contact you, please respond quickly. Hopefully we don't have to, because, you know, frankly, Sarah and Tanya do a good job of keeping things up to date. But, you know, as we do our review and preparation for the visit, if we need something from you, please respond like promptly, because we've got to have the information accurate and good and up to date. So.
Yeah. And we just had a question about how many hours do we need. It's actually not a number of hours. It's 2 in-field activities per year. In the in-service portion, you know, any term that you're teaching, we expect you to join the faculty call. If you're not teaching, then you're automatically excused, but you're still welcome to join. And remember that anytime you join the call, there is that stipend that you'll receive if you are in attendance on the call. While I have the floor, one other thing, we do have that meeting tomorrow with Jim Tolbert, our campus meeting. The invitation was sent out to everyone, so if you didn't receive it, let me know. He does these a couple times a year. It's sort of a State of the Union presentation in a way, just where he sort of reviews for the company and for the campus where we've been and where we're going. If you're able to join, that's great, but we totally understand a lot of you have full-time jobs and other things that might conflict with you being able to Zoom in. But if you can, it's really good information and a good opportunity to hear what he has to say and ask any questions that you might have.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Sarah. How about Tanya? Go ahead and take the roll if you would, Tanya.
Sure. If I call your name and you're here, let me know. Amanda Hardwick. Amy Morrison. Brittany Williams. Charlotte Scott. Cynthia Bennett. Dan Ferentz. Dennis Onalaha. Doug Bristow. Erin Etherington. Oh, she doesn't actually start till next term. Sorry about that. George Martinez.
Here. I'm here.
Thank you, George. Let's see. Kristen Mercer. Melvin Landry. Was Melvin here? Neil Sawyer.
Hey, this is Neil. I'm here.
Thank you. Sabrina Delonzo. Sandy McDonald.
I'm here.
Thanks, Sandy. I think I'm good. Trudy Thomas didn't come in, did she? Or is it here?
Hey, Tanya, name's Fabio.
Thank you. I have you, Dan.
Oh, thanks.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here. So, Dr. Waller, are you on? Didn't know if you're on.
I think he's upstairs in a meeting, Larry.
Okay. Well, we had the pleasure of doing a national presentation. Art and I we were in California and we were able to do a online readiness survey. Some of the work that we've been doing to predict student success, and we've made some great headway. I'm gonna share with you parts of our presentation, only because I want you to know what we're doing on the front end, and how we're being more selective on the front end of admitting students. And then once they're in, of course, the whole goal is to get them to graduate and get the job. That's student success. And so something that we've started about 10 months ago is, we always had an online readiness assessment, but we didn't have the questions geared quite right, and we really weren't using it. So we re-engineered the online readiness assessment about 10 months ago and started using the data. And I think you're going to find this pretty interesting. And I want to share with you what's happening and why we're doing what we're doing. And again, you all remember that our goal is to improve graduation rates, specifically in the business programs, the diploma and the associate, as well as the MIBC diploma. And so here goes. Predicting student success. The GPA is something that we haven't used. Some schools will use that in predicting and admitting students. The standard achievement tests are another predictor of success, and we learned that. We learned with like MIBC diploma students, SLE scores, or the cognitive score, that was below, if you had 11, they all dropped. 12, most of them dropped. 13, all but maybe 10% dropped. So we changed our cognitive score to 15, and that's made some difference on curbing the drops, as you'll see in just a second as we get through this. But the other thing that we've been doing is the readiness. So we've been actually evaluating risk factors, or something called non-cognitive factors, to predict student success and to check, are they ready for school? And so the research is clear that if you use the GPA, some schools, that's all they use, form of GPA to predict student success. We've already seen some results in changing our cognitive score, and we're seeing results by paying attention to non-cognitive factors. What we learned with our school is first-generation research. Lydia did a survey. Was it 73% of our students, Lydia, I think, were first generation? It might have been 71.3 or 73%, something like that.
It was in the 70s.
Yeah. So that means more than two out of three students are first generation. And the research shows that if you're a first generation student, if you accept 100 first generation students, only 33 will graduate. In other words, 66 are going to drop. And so the reason we dug in on this applicant side is to do a better job of predicting, since we have so many first generation students, whether or not they'll be successful at the school. Research shows that non-cognitive is great for predicting retention, and it's also great. There are other factors that are great for performance, but there are certain ones that you can use for retention. And it's a potent predictor. It shows that that you can improve retention by 7 to 15% if you pay attention to these factors. And we have been, and we are, and it's one of the variables that we've used along with the way we're connecting and building confidence and engaging with students. All of it makes sense, and all of it's having a great impact on Vista College Online. And in fact, Vista College Online is now retaining students better than Vista College Ground, and that is really saying something. And the question is, it's not whether a student is ready for college ready, in other words. The question is whether the student is ready. That's where we're focusing on, whether the student is ready. And we're starting to do some pretty good work in that area. It's still early, but one of the things that we're doing with the readiness survey is we're checking for things like internet and comfort with computers, study skills, educational commitment, academic engagement. Like, I turn my homework in time. I wait till the last minute. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to stay in school. Resiliency. I manage stress. Little things upset me. Those factors are considered non-cognitive readiness factors. And if we have 5 or more risk factors show, then Dirk and myself and the program directors actually make a decision and call the student and go through the questions very carefully to say, are you ready? Is this student ready to complete the degree at school? And sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not, with 5 or more risk factors. And you're going to find this pretty interesting, what's happened as we've looked at the risk factors coming in for applicants. And again, it's really important that we do a good job of selecting applicants to retain them and have them graduate. And yet we are an open career college, and we want to give everybody a chance. So we're trying to see what really plays in the face of risk factors that the applicants are recognizing. There are 17 that we are assessing, and you can see the high ones. Interestingly enough, of all the risk factors, 40% of our students don't have a computer when they start, and that's a problem. Wonder why they don't. And 28% of all risk factors show that they really prefer face-to-face, not online. They don't have the internet access. That's an interesting stat. Place to study. Some of them don't have that. Computer skills. Well, here's the results of drops so far. 50%, or half of our drops, had a risk factor of not owning a computer. 39% showing internet access, and 39% want face-to-face. And then you get into some of the other things that matter, the skills, the easily upset, the stress, not sure of my ability, homework, wait till the last minute. Those are factors that, anything we can do to build confidence, easily upset, stress, not sure of my ability, homework, wait till the last minute. Those are things that you can help us to strengthen. We can make them better by what we do in connecting with students, by the feedback we get, by how we engage. We, on the other hand, are doing some things like one of the things we're considering now is if they don't have a computer, we won't let them start until we have the computer. And then we're thinking about even that, we know we can provide a computer, but we're thinking of if they have if that risk factor comes up, in the 5+, we're thinking of doing like an assessment on their computer skills, because if they can't pass that initial assessment on the computer skills, we're planning to offer like a free computer class before they start. That should help us to continue our quest of improving student success and are they ready. They're predictors of success. And our model, what we're doing, so that you know, student readiness assessment. We are actually using it and doing it. And academics is working with enrollment to make sure that the student is ready for college. We're doing that. And that's a good thing. My career, lots of times we'll hear academics say, I wish they'd send us a good student. And admissions will say, well, academics doesn't understand this student will be good. We're working together. We're doing some early outreaches. A lot of things that we're doing. We've been working on selecting faculty. You heard one of our new faculty members is an HR professional, and she's teaching career strategies. That's really a big step forward because she's passionate about career strategies and she knows what they need to know to be able to get the job. Informed advising. Oh my gosh, Lydia and Deidre, they do such good work at working with students, and so do you, and with all of the things we're doing. So this is what's happened to us. Retention at online has gone from, the low 50% to, I think we were 73% this last time, trending up. That's what's happening to us. And it's because, again, all of us are working together to prepare our students and to, do a good job at the front end and the middle and at the back end so that they graduate. Now, Tinto is an expert in retention. He's I'm not going to say father of retention, but he gets the most notable quotes for what you need to do with retention. And we've talked about this before. This is where you need to help us. Early feedback about the performance, academic, frequency and quality of contact with faculty. If you ask Lydia, she'd tell you that's the big deal, just be in contact with them. And that's really true. And listen to them. That helps them to deal with stress. That helps them to deal with confidence. And so, again, what we've been doing over these last months is really paying good dividends, but I wanted you to see what we're doing on the front end so that it's a whole data-driven student success model that we've been putting together. Non-cognitive variables are malleable. Stress, my confidence to do it, I don't know if I can graduate. Those are all things that we can form and shape. You can do that by confidence building feedback and by connecting with students. That's what we do with the academic part. Our student success programs are focusing on enhancing the non-cognitive abilities. We'll do more and more of that. One of our big focuses now is that of linking the content and always keeping the vision alive for students. And the vision is they start with this, they study because they usually want to enter a profession. They want to get a job. They want to improve their station in life, their standard of living. They want to take care of their family. That's why they do it. First generation students are scared to death, and they have those factors that we have to deal with. And so, again, to see the whole picture, that's what I wanted to share with you. Now, today, Tracy is going to give a presentation on linking what we do to the career, because that is crucial. We must always, say, this is why we are having you take this course. So with that, Tracy, will you, I've stopped sharing so you can share. Will you continue? Share it, Tracy?
Yep.
Okay.
Here we go. It's a little delay. All right, so that was a perfect introduction to what I'm doing. And yes, so the title of my presentation is Curriculum to Career, Connecting Curriculum Outcomes to Future Careers. So I wanted everybody to take a look at the Vista College mission statement, and it's every now and then it's good to go back, but I highlighted a specific section of it there in bold because it's exactly what this presentation is about. To aid its students in preparation for changes by providing quality education and career guidance relative to demands of an evolving workplace. All right, so what are the experts? All right, so what is integrated career focused curricula? It's very, very simple. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's introducing the career themed content into the classroom. And the good thing is we're already doing that here at Vista, but we have more opportunity in certain areas within the classroom to introduce even more of that type of content for our students. So what's happening at Vista? So I've divided the core shells into 3 categories. So the traditional shell, which is what I say would be the courses that came from Moodle, so those that have been here long enough, those courses that came in from Moodle. And right now we really haven't done much updating to those courses yet, but we've still got the same type of layout, the assignments, the discussion board, but as of right now we haven't updated those courses yet. Then we've got the newly created courses, which are our evidence-based courses. And those are important because there's a little bit more activity that goes on in those courses between the instructor and the student that have to take place in order for that student to be successful and to earn the maximum amount of points in passing that course. And then we've got the newly converted. So those courses are a mix. We've got traditional courses that came over that we may have tweaked a little bit. Some of them have been converted into the EB courses. And then some of them, we still have the same content, but we've changed it to things like open resources, and we've added a few other tools in there for the instructor and the student. What are the experts saying? Well, the experts are saying that it's up to us, the instructors, to really hone in on that student enthusiasm and foster that connection between the curriculum and the potential future career applications. This is supposed to start from the time that student enters that POFT course all the way to the end. So every course that student is in, we should be linking our content, those course objectives, to workplace relevancy. So by the time that student gets to graduation, and we do want them to graduate, that they have a great idea, a solid idea of where they want to go once they leave Vista College. Now, the opposite of that is if we don't do that, and let's just say every other course, an instructor has really honed in on it and sees that moment, well, guess what's going to happen? By the time they get to graduation, we're going to start hearing things from students like, well, I don't know, what am I supposed to do now? I really don't know, what does that course have to do with my career path? So we want to make sure that we're seizing the moments with our students and really taking that course and introducing additional content that's relevant to their career of choice. So I'm going to discuss the 4 bubbles there, and of course in the middle, we always want to do things that focus on our student and how can we enhance their learning experience here at Vista College. So we're going to take a look at 4 of those bubbles there. So the first one is the practical applications. So these are the assignments and the activities that are within the courses. Instructors really don't have too much control over that because, of course, you get assigned your course, you sign your contract, and then it's up to you from there to start adding additional things in where you can. But the assignments are pretty much already set in stone for that particular term. Simulation exercises, these are things that you'll probably find more in your EB courses, where the activities are taking students through things that they will be doing on the job, as close that we can get to them to do it. as close as the resource, we can get to really mimic that real life career job function. On the right-hand side, these are assignments that I've actually pulled out of the courses, all of the different types of courses that we're currently doing. So writing assignments that pertain to the weekly topic. Now, we did have that in the old Moodle shell, but I think for the most part, most of the courses we've updated to contain some of those writing assignments that really, really are linked to what they may find in their career path. So for example, one of the assignments in Allied Health in the insurance class is for each student to go out on their state website and to tell the class, what are the requirements for claims processing? What are the penalties, if a provider is late with claim submission? And that's one of my favorite assignments because, the students really get into it and they start saying, whoa, I didn't know my state was like this. And it just so happens that the state of Texas is one of the more stringent states when it comes to those rules. So it gets a really, really interesting return. But building medical terms, of course, that's in medical terminology. Each week, they're required to do exercises that are related to finding and breaking down the medical terms. Coding cases, in one of Sherry's areas, there was drafting contracts, which I found interesting. Professional organizations, this is something that has come up in the PAC recently, the PAC meetings, that we need to start, telling our students about the professional organizations that are specific to their career paths. One of the reasons is because it's a great networking opportunity, even though they have not graduated yet. It's really unique to them because they get to meet people that are already out in the field and can, maybe find a mentor that will help them, further get into, their career. And then also under business, we had research on team leadership, okay? So these are just a few. There are so many assignments that we've changed and updated, but all for the student benefit and for engaging that student in the class, not only with their classmates, but also with the instructors. The virtual meeting. So the virtual meeting, this is also in the evidence-based courses, but that does not mean that you can't do it in your own class. The only difference is in the EB courses, they are worth points for the student. And, congratulations to Joe C, because, you're holding those video chats and making those videos for your students and Zooming with your students. It really, really means a lot to the students. But the virtual meeting is linked to the assessments that the students take. And during the virtual meeting, the instructor, mentions or coaches the student on their strengths and weaknesses, but also the areas of opportunity for the students within that subject matter. What I found in my virtual meetings is that I get all kinds of requests. I get requests to, some students work a lot, so they can't do a virtual meeting, but they'll do a conference call. Any way I can get it done, I do it. We also have the chat feature within Canvas. The students really do appreciate that meeting though. And the more and more that the students move along and take those assessments, I found that they're really eager in the next course for that meeting to take place. And what are we doing during the meeting? We're developing those skills that the student needs for the workplace. We're building their confidence in the subject matter. And hopefully by the time they get to the end of their program and to graduation, they're so confident in what they're doing that, they bring that confidence into the interview and into the workplace. And then we're also mentoring for success, I think all of us, want our students to be successful, and we want them to have that confidence as they move along, not only in their program, but into the career field. Now, the discussion board. This is an area that the instructors have a little bit more control over, because even though you have an initial question each week, you have the opportunity to really, really pull that content into the discussion board. The experts consider that, the discussion board to be the heart of classroom learning, even in online, because that's really, if you're not doing a virtual meeting, that's really the only place where you're really engaging, with your students, and they're engaging with, their classmates. But, allow the student to, explore, connect, and apply career-focused concepts. So that may mean, you bringing in examples or videos or articles, more articles onto the discussion board. Now, I have seen a lot of instructors do many things on the discussion board, and students even get into pulling in videos, which I found a lot lately within the MIBC program. But, again, you have the opportunity to share your experience in the workforce, especially if it's a topic that you really, really are familiar with, and maybe you've had a personal experience with that topic. Don't be afraid to share it with your students, because they need to hear it. And many times, especially within the healthcare field, we've all been a patient at one time. So it's easy for us to relate as patients to some of the topics and share, you get students sharing, their experience there. But, the only way you can do this is if you're present on your discussion board. If you're not present on your discussion board, then you are missing out on an opportunity to really connect that student to the career content. Announcements. We have the power. So this is another area that actually wasn't in the articles that I read, but I thought, this is a good area. On the announcement board, you do have the opportunity to, that's under your control, because you don't have to post them, even though you guys are rated on them on your observations. But you do have the opportunity, again, to at least introduce the topics for the week. I've seen instructors from all three programs, do videos. That means a lot to the student. And just when you think, they're not really paying attention to it, they really, really are. So again, the announcements, that is something that you have in your power to really update and connect the student to that career content. So think about it. Are you asking the right questions? Are you sharing and incorporating your workplace experiences with your students? Are you adding relevant material to your discussion board? Are you adding additional materials at any time during the week that further assist that student with understanding that topic and linking it to workplace relevancy? If you're not doing this, you might want to ask yourself, why? Why aren't you doing it? Because again, this is an opportunity for you to help that student understand that career content and those learning objectives as they move from one course to the next. So this is a question for you all. What are some things that you are doing on your discussion board or maybe in your announcements that have helped link students to the topic, help link the students to the topic and the career field? So videos, I've seen videos. Kathy, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Did you want me to share about the virtual meeting?
Yes. Share your experience with the virtual meeting.
Yeah, I started doing the virtual meeting a few terms ago and actually started it. I had larger class sizes at the time, so started it with Zoom meetings. And then the last couple terms, I've done the individual calls, which I think I actually prefer and think the students may actually prefer just because it's more one-on-one time rather than having the big group there. So I've had a lot of personal interaction with students. They feel more comfortable asking questions maybe that they wouldn't during the group session. sharing some challenges maybe that they're facing even on the personal level, but where it's given me the opportunity to encourage them to stick with that goal and, you know, work past that or through those situations. So I think it's been a great opportunity just to encourage students, touch base in the middle of the term. And I really liked this term. It was linked right at midpoint. So we also discussed their midterm status and could really focus on both the learning assessment and their midterm status, and, you know, offer suggestions of what maybe they needed to change, what their strengths were in the course at that time. So good opportunity to connect with students every term.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any experience with their evidence-based courses or creating videos, and had any students give you any feedback?
Well, Tracy, this is Glenda Lloyd. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like to, particularly when I'm teaching the coding courses, is to plug my students into free, and I do emphasize free, online webinars where they can get experience of actually attending webinars, educational webinars on coding, and you know, get them used to actually registering for these types of courses. And I try to let them know that when you're in the profession, you will be seeking out these types of courses, particularly the free ones, so you can continue with your educational requirements for the profession. I find that that's useful, and not every student take advantage of it, but that is something that I try to, you know, seek out and find for each coding class.
Mm-hmm. And I will say with one thing that Kathy said is that I've had more and more students request one-on-ones, and they always seem to say, oh, and I have a few more questions. So that's a good opportunity to answer, you know, any additional questions that they have on the topic. And I like the free webinars as well, because a lot of times they don't know that those are available for them.
So this is Keith Strom. So I think two things that brought up maybe a little bit more in the discussion board. One is just consistency of announcements. So you can set like the timer, you know, for announcements to go off on particular days. So I try every Wednesday and Sunday to have a reminder. Hey, midweek reminder, discussion board, you know, get it in for maximize points. Hey, it's Sunday, you know, get that in. And I think the consistency of the communication has really helped, instead of just kind of, you know, one-offs or just contacting one or two students. The announcements and the consistency each week, I think, has increased the discussion board piece. And then I think, you know, with the topics, I mean, it's always good. I think we always have career stories. So for me, being a project manager, and in project management courses or business courses, it always links to finances or just something I can draw from either, I like to say, either a good or bad experience. We always remember our bad experiences probably more. So bringing a bad experience to and saying, hey, this is what I learned in this bad experience kind of thrives people to be like, I learned something, because the good stuff's always great to teach, but you learn a lot more from when you fail. And I think that in the discussion board of talking about some of your failures and how like they've kind of can like grow on that helps too.
Thanks, Keith. I like that, the consistency. I think and when those announcements are popping up, you know, the students know, okay, he's in here.
Yeah, especially for my last minute students, right? I'm like, listen, it's Wednesday. Like, you know, you haven't been on there on Monday, Tuesday, you know, and you're not going to answer your phone. So, you know, you're at least going to see a consistent message from me to get it done.
Right, and I like that. So for those that are new, you do have that feature in Canvas where you can auto set your announcements.
Tracy, one other thing that I was going to speak on is that linking the students to the professional organizations. Lots of times the students don't know, well, this is true for the HIM, HIT profession, which is linked into our MIBC program, is that when they join professional associations in our field, they can join for free as a student. Mm-hmm. And so I try to link them into their local associations. I'll even research them and find them for them.
Good, that's good. I like that as well.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Thank you, guys. Guest speakers. So guest speakers is actually an idea that was back in Moodle, I believe. And it hung around for a minute, but we were never able to get it up and running. Probably because we were going through a lot of transitions. We were changing it to Canvas, and so we could never really bring it to life. So this is actually a pilot among the PDs and our instructional designer that we're going to try in PLFT 1450. And just to give you an idea of what we hope it's going to be like, and we have not solidified our plans yet, but hopefully we will in the next week or two. But we will have guest speakers in that course, and along with the PDs coming in to introduce themselves, bringing in a guest speaker for each of the career fields, so that the students can, kind of hear, what they're in for, what the field is currently like, what are the expectations in that field, and be able to do like a question and answer for that professional and the student. We really think the students will like that. I think it's an excellent idea, and we hopefully it holds, and we're able to keep it going. But that's more to come. All right, so positive learning, this is opportunity. So when we connect classroom learning with workplace relevance, we have the opportunity to increase positive learning outcomes. And these are just a few that I've put down. So motivation. So we know a motivated student is more likely to, stay in the race. Everybody in here has had some type of educational challenge when we were going through school. And one of the differences is that we were just able to take the hit, get up, brush our knees off, and keep going until we made it all the way to the end. Well, some of our students, they're a little bit more sensitive, and, if they take that hit, or if they feel like, they're facing that challenge, they're not going to be as quick to, stay in the race. So by doing this, we're showing them, what the workplace is going to be like, what they need, and hopefully, keeping that motivation going for them. Then we've got grit and determination. Again, very, very closely linked with motivation, but keeping their mind on that end goal, which is graduation, okay? And then we've got career goals, hopefully as we're introducing the new topics and keeping them relevant as to what's going on, they're able to continuously set their career goals all the way up to the end. And this is linked to 3 things that are very important, not only to us, but to Vista College. Number 1 is retention. Dr. Banks just mentioned that we have the #1 retention rate in the college, and we want to keep it that way. 2 is graduation. We all want to see our students graduate and get that degree, and then finally get them employed. So a little inspiration for you before we go. Teaching is the one profession that creates all other professions. So we don't always get the accolades and the awards that maybe sometimes we would like, but one of the cool things about teaching is, gosh, if you really think about it, how many students have you helped graduate since you've been teaching? And many of us have been teaching for years. And, not all of them come back and tell you thank you, but it's always the one that says, you know what, you really, really helped me, and I thank you for getting me to my destination and achieving my goal. So again, we get to see and produce all of these cool professionals. Are there any questions? All right. Thank you for joining, everybody.
So, Tracy, thank you for the presentation. And I'd just like to thank Kathy and Glenda for sharing their ideas. You bring up some good tips and techniques that will help us. What we're trying to do is make sure the students are ready for college, but once they're in, it's up to you to make them job ready. And that's what we want to do. And I'm reminded that, a graduate said, at another school said, you know, it costs a lot to go to school, but getting the job, getting a career, that's priceless, and that's what we do. So let's continue to make them job ready. All right. See you next time. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.